Out in my garden, it's a lovely place to go. Out in my garden, watching nature grow. My garden is the place I go to let my troubles go. So let's go in the garden and see what we should know.
And he is back in the garden. Kent Neitzert, Neitzert's Greenhouse and Florist, after a fishing excursion again, right?
Yeah, we went up, took the annual fishing trip up into Ontario and got away from it all.
There you go. Now, so you weren't out like identifying all the flowers or the things and.
No, not particularly. There's not many growing out in the middle of the lake, although there are weeds that that particular lake is a lot of weeds after we pulled many of them out.
But I understand the fish were pretty cooperative, though. Right?
Yes, the fishing was really good. We got a lot of fish. We had fish. You know, we go up there, and if you don't catch fish, you don't have anything to eat for supper. So we are pretty particular about that. So we've had fish fried every night. So.
And then you didn't bring any back.
I brought a few back, but you're not allowed to bring a lot back. You can bring one day's catch back, which for the three of us was 10 fish.
Okay.
So those fish are about like, we had fish dinner the other night, and Kathy said that meal was about $150 for that plate of fish.
Neitzert's Gourmet Restaurant.
Yes.
and vacation trip. So
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had time with the family doing that. So, all right. So let's talk today about something I think in different varieties. Everybody loves some form of
peppers. Yeah, you have sweet bell peppers, and you have hot peppers, and you have hotter peppers, and you have fire peppers. So I mean, you have the whole gamut of them. Now, peppers are a fairly tender plant. They're a warmer season plant. While you can plant tomatoes probably as early as the latter part of April, early May, 1st of May, but you need to protect them from frost over that time. If you do the same with peppers, you're probably going to lose them. The cold ground, they don't like at all. So you generally need to wait till the night temperatures get continually above 55 degrees and the soil is starting to warm up. Probably mid-May is a good time to put peppers in. Now you can cheat a little bit by putting them in raised beds, maybe putting black plastic on the ground and planting the peppers through black plastic, because that black plastic will absorb the sunshine and warm the soil up a little better. But anyway, it's not advantageous to jump the gun with those. If you're looking to grow them, you want to plant them about 24 inches apart and keep them well watered. They like a deep watering, less often. So rather than water them every day, maybe water them every third day and soak it real well. Try to keep the water off the foliage so that the foliage is not wet at night. So if like days like today, you could water them. If you're overhead watering them, you probably water them as late as 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll still dry off. That moisture on the leaves of any plant overnight is what causes diseases. If you're having problem with peppers and don't seem to be setting a lot of fruit, sometimes that's caused by hot, dry conditions, and the immature fruit won't set real well, and they will abort. It's helpful to provide a support for your peppers. You may think they're a pretty small, compact plant, but they can get pretty good size, especially if you're using bell peppers, the big sweet peppers. So it's nice to maybe put a bamboo stake by it and take a twist tie and tie it up to that so that they can support that and you don't end up with it on the ground.
That gives more airflow and everything else underneath it too.
It gives better air movement around it. You can mulch under there to help keep the weeds down. Bell peppers come in a variety of colors: green, red, orange, yellow, purple, almost black. And I think really you can't taste the difference in colors. They're just, if you're a gourmet and you like to spice up the visual effect of your salad, then you use different colored peppers. You'll find generally in the stores the non red or non green peppers tend to be a little more expensive. I think that's partly because they can, and it's partly because those seeds are generally a little more expensive, and sometimes they're a little bit longer in the garden. But most all of those bell peppers start out as green, and as they ripen, they turn color.
Okay.
And I find that the peppers tend to get a little sweeter as you let them mature. So a green pepper may be a little bit bitter. If you let it turn red and ripen a little more, it sweetens up a little bit. I think the big thing is to try and find a variety that you like. Some of them are much more thick in their flesh than others, so that's the thing to head towards. And then you have hot peppers. Hot peppers range in hotness from, yeah, that's a little bitey, to I can't hardly stand it. The chemical in the pepper that makes it hot is called capsaicin, and we measure the hotness of a pepper with a thing called a Scoville scale, and that's just a number that tells you, it's a relative number that tells you how hot that pepper is. The sweet and bell peppers on the Scoville rating range anywhere from 0 to 100. Anaheim peppers maybe 500 to 1,000. The jalapenos 2,500, maybe 3,000. Cayenne are hotter. Habaneros, probably one of the hotter ones that we grow. They're 200,000 to 300,000 on the Scoville scale.
Wow.
And probably one of the hottest peppers that I've seen around is called a ghost pepper.
Yeah, that's like 5 million, right?
Yeah. I had a friend who was out to what is now the Twisted Turtle Bent Prop Wharf, or whatever it was at the time, and he was challenged to eat ghost peppers, and there was money on the issue.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think he ate 5 or 6 of them, and he was sick for a couple of days. I mean, he was.
And not only does it burn, but it affects your stomach then too.
Yeah,
right?
it just.
Yeah.
It burns going in, and I think it burns coming out. So you just, and it's really one of the things with hot peppers. You need to be careful if you're processing them. You can burn the skin on your hands with that capsaicin that's in there. So generally recommended you wear rubber gloves if you're peeling them and the hottest portion of them is really the seeds. So if you're careful and remove the seeds from the inside of that pepper, chop the very top of it off because that kind of ties those seeds together. Extract the seeds, and many of the hot peppers are a big part of a lot of cuisines. You see it a lot in Oriental and Asian foods, and so they grow a lot of them, and so we do sell a fair amount of them in the spring.
Talking peppers with Kent Neitzert this morning. Any questions for Kent? 279-1590, whether it's about peppers or anything else you might have for your garden. 279-1590, Kent Neitzert in the garden.
When you have an occasion to buy flowers, does where you shop make a difference? Well, if knowledgeable sales personnel, quality of product, and value for the dollars you spend are important to you, then it's important you make Neitzert's Greenhouse and Florist your florist. Whatever the occasion, wherever you need to send flowers, call Neitzert's at 278-4148 and let them take care of your order. They'll handle your needs with a personal and professional touch and stand behind the work to your satisfaction. Call Neitzert's today or stop out on Fisk Road, 1.5 miles south of US 12, and see if you don't agree that there is a difference, and the difference is Neitzert's.
Kent Neitzert in the garden with us this morning, talking peppers. Nice. You mentioned about kind of a later start to get them in the ground because of the temperatures. Does that affect? Is their growing season a little shorter so you can still get stuff?
Well, you just don't get them usually quite as quick. I've noticed that jalapeno peppers seem to mature a little quicker, so I think they have a little shorter maturity time. But bell peppers probably are just now starting to mature in most gardens. So, because we're starting them later, it does affect the fact that they're going to produce in the garden a little later. But I would say that you really want to, as I said, you don't want to start them early, but you can push them a little bit if you can. Most people don't plant seed because it's a relatively slow germinating seed. It takes about 10 days to 2 weeks to germinate, and then it's pretty slow coming up in the greenhouse. So you want to buy a fairly large plant to work with.
Are there considerations on soil and feeding through the year for them?
Pretty much not. They're kind of. I would grow them like I would a tomato, so you can grow them in those same areas. You don't have to be concerned with hot peppers cross-pollinating with green peppers, unless the only reason you have to worry about cross-pollination if you want to save the seed. So if you had a jalapeno pepper and an Anaheim pepper, and they cross-pollinated, that seed that you get may not be what you want the next year, but most people don't worry about that. The little bit of a cost that seed is, I would start with fresh seed each year.
All right, and we mentioned tomatoes then with that. So tomatoes, peppers right now. Is there anything, or should we be fertilizing right now or just watering?
Well, I would fertilize. I generally try to fertilize the soil early in the season. I didn't this year, but last year I had the soil tested, so I knew exactly what I needed to add to the soil. I put that on at the beginning of the season, and then like with tomatoes or even peppers or most anything, I would side dress them as they're about half mature. Okay. When the tomatoes get to be, when they start to set fruit, the peppers, when they start to flower, start to set fruit, you can take fertilizer and put a little ring around the plant of fertilizer, or you can use liquid, a water-soluble liquid fertilizer on them and fertilize them. Generally speaking, you'd be surprised at the difference how that plant grows when you fertilize a little extra throughout the year.
All right. So during the week, you can catch him at the greenhouse, 1.5 miles south of US 12 on 5th Road. Thursday mornings, catch him right here on the radio. It's Kent Neitzert in the garden.
Out in my garden, it's a lovely place to go. Out in my garden, watching nature grow. My garden is the place I go to let my troubles go. So let's go in the garden and see what we should know.